You are watching BBC News. The Prime Minister has said she is prepared to take difficult decisions, such as letting bankers have bigger bonuses, in order to deliver on her pledge to get the economy growing. Speaking in New York, Liz Truss said tomorrow's announcement about help for companies and households facing spiralling fuel bills could reduce the inflation rate by up to 5 percentage points. She was speaking to our political editor, Chris Mason, who began by asking her about her first week in office, overshadowed within 48 hours by the death of the Queen. Here is the full interview.
Prime Minister, congratulations on the new job. What a first fortnight for you. Was there a moment when the enormity of it really struck you?
Well, it has been a very, very momentous time for our country, and I was hugely honoured to be asked to form a government by Her Majesty the Queen, and I think the news of her death was a shock to me, as it was a shock to the nation. But what I think we've seen happening is just a huge outpouring of love and warmth towards Her Majesty, and we've seen that not just in the United Kingdom but right around the world. And I think the work that's been done by the civil service, by the royal household on the funeral, has really paid fitting tribute to somebody who contributed so much to the modern world, not just in Britain but right around the world.
A core part of your set of political priorities is economic growth, getting the economy growing. Are rising interest rates a price worth paying for that?
Well, interest rates are a matter for the Bank of England. There's a reason why politicians don't set interest rates. We are responsible for economic policy, and what is absolutely crucial to our economic policy is getting economic growth going, because that's what we need to get more investment into the United Kingdom, to get more higher paid jobs, to get those opportunities for people right across the country. And we will be working to strain every sinew to make things happen, to get Britain moving and get that economic growth going that we need to make sure we have a secure future.
Sure, but if you jump on the economic accelerator, the Bank of England will be obliged to jump on the brake, and that will mean, will it not, that people are paying more for their mortgages?
I don't accept that analysis, and in fact the energy package that we announced, and the business secretary will be saying more about that this week, is projected to lead to a lowering of inflation by up to 5 percentage points, because a lot of the cost of inflation has been driven by higher energy prices, primarily caused by Putin's war in Ukraine. So the intervention the UK government is undertaking will help reduce inflation and also boost economic growth. So I don't accept that analysis. I think it's vital that we stepped in. There was a very real fear of businesses going under this winter, and many households would simply not have been able to afford those bills. So I think it's the right thing to do, to step in to help in the short term, whilst we're making sure we're never in that position again, and that people and Britain has that long-term energy security.
Lots of families at the moment are really struggling, and they'll see that one of the things you're happy to see happen is for bankers to get bigger bonuses. Whose side are you on?
What I want to see is a growing economy, so everybody in our country has the high-paid jobs that they deserve, that the investment into their town or city or area, the new businesses being set up. That's the kind of Britain that I want to see.
And that means the rich get richer, and that's fine.
If that means taking difficult decisions which are going to help Britain become more competitive, help Britain become more attractive, help more investment flow into our country, yes, I'm absolutely prepared to take those decisions, because what I care about is I care about our country being successful, and everyone in our country, wherever they live, wherever they're from, having those opportunities.
So you're willing to do unpopular things if you think it can contribute to a bigger economy?
That's right. And I will always work to make sure that we are helping those who are struggling. That's why we took the action that we took on energy bills, because we didn't want to see households facing unaffordable bills. And that's why we're going to take the action on national insurance and reversing that increase as well. So yes, we do have to take difficult decisions to get our economy growing. We have to look at our tax rates. So corporation tax needs to be competitive with other countries so that we can attract that investment. But ultimately, the reason I'm doing that and the reason the Chancellor is doing that is because we want people across this country to have those opportunities. That's why we're doing it.
How worried are you about a falling the value of the pound?
Well, my belief is that Britain's economic fundamentals are strong. We have relatively low debt compared to the rest of the G7. We have strong employment, although we do need to help more people who are currently economically inactive go into work. We have a great enterprise culture. We have a fantastic...
The value of the pound?
Well, what I'm about is getting those economic fundamentals right. And what the Chancellor will be outlining on Friday is his approach, showing that we are fiscally responsible. We're going to carry out our policies in a fiscally responsible way. And we are going to help make the United Kingdom more competitive and more successful.
The pound has been tumbling, interest rates are rising, some prices are soaring. Do you accept that despite your interventions, times are going to be tough for people this winter?
We're facing incredibly tough economic times. I'm here in New York at the United Nations. We've had the invasion of Ukraine, which has pushed up energy prices. We're still seeing the after effects of COVID. And what is very important, as well as growing our economy, we're also protecting our economic security. We're making sure we back the Ukrainians, and I'm determined to make sure we back them for the long haul, because we cannot see Russia succeed. But we also need to make sure we're more energy independent and we're less dependent on those authoritarian regimes. So it's about economic growth, but it's also about economic security. And what I'm going to be doing over the coming days is talking to our allies about how we can deepen those ties with each other so we can work together to make sure we have that security.
Last question. In what way will you be a different Prime Minister from Boris Johnson?
Well, I will be my own Prime Minister, and I wouldn't compare myself to any predecessors, and the times we're in are different from the times predecessors have been in. We are entering a new era. It is a more insecure era. We face an increasingly aggressive Russia, an assertive China. We need to work more closely with our allies, and we also need to get the British economy growing so that we have that security for all of our citizens. And what I'm about, and what my government is about delivering for people, making sure that people have the jobs, the opportunities, and the future that they can rely on.
UK Prime Minister Liz Truss there speaking to our political editor, Chris Mason.